What's up, you guys? I'm back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the new Disney Princess collection from Bath& Body Works, and here I have Cinderella to review for you guys. So if you want to hear my thoughts, please keep watching. So this Cinderella body mist really surprised me because over the weekend I went to Bath and Body Works and I smelled each body mist from the new Disney Princess collection. First I went from Tiana, then Ariel, and so on and so forth. And the last one that I actually got to was Cinderella. And I was so surprised because I went in with every expectation of buying the Belle body mist. That one just sounded the most gourmand. But when I actually got to smell Cinderella, I thought it was so beautiful, and that's the only one that I ended up purchasing that day. I actually thought that the whole collection was nice. Nothing stood out to me, nothing really wowed me. None of them, though, were bad. Like, I would totally wear all of them. But when I got to Cinderella, this one was just a little bit more special than the other ones, in my opinion. One thing that surprised me about this collection was how floral heavy they all were. I guess when I think of Disney princesses, I think of mostly they would smell sweet. That's just kind of how I picture them to smell. But at the same time, this is a spring collection, and they did kind of match each floral with what each princess would smell like. For example, Jasmine had jasmine, and Cinderella has gardenia. So I think the florals that they gave each princess was very fitting, but just keep in mind you really need to like florals to enjoy this collection. And another thing I wanted to point out about all of these body mists, at least in my opinion, when I was in the store smelling them, was how light they all were. A lot of them I had to like spray multiple times or try to smell the shower gel just to get a better idea of what it smelled like. I definitely could smell Cinderella, but it's definitely not a powerhouse by any means. This is very light and airy. And I think that another reason they possibly didn't make these powerhouses is because a lot of younger girls are going to be attracted to these fragrances. So I think it's very fitting that they made these a little bit lighter, potentially for younger girls, maybe in elementary school. It's just a little bit inappropriate if they smelled way too strong of perfume. Okay, so with all that being said, I loved Cinderella. The moment that I smelled this, I knew that I wanted to have it. This one kind of like wowed me in a way that the other ones didn't. So let's get into what this smells like. So that is the packaging. I think it's really, really cute. I love the packaging. And it says Cinderella, kind, optimistic, and hopeful. And the fragrance notes are gardenia petals, enchanting musk, and sapphire blue amber. So with this one, you really need to like white florals to enjoy this one. This is a very sweet gardenia fragrance. And I think this scent is really pretty, but right off the bat, it reminded me of other fragrances that I have in my collection. So in a little bit, we'll start comparing some fragrances and seeing if they're repackages. So let's go ahead and try this. Yeah, so this is really pretty and I really, really like it. Definitely a springtime scent. The gardenia in this is very heavy. That's literally what it is. That's the heart of this fragrance. It is a sweet white floral. It has like an airy, laundry soapy quality to it, but the thing that you're going to smell the most is that sweet gardenia. So now that I'm smelling it in the cap, it's very strong. I can definitely smell what it is, and I can smell all the notes in here. It's a little bit musky, but the thing is, when I wear it, it's very, very light. I went to bed 2 nights in a row and I sprayed Cinderella on one arm, and then I sprayed Dressed in White on the other, just because it kind of reminded me of this one. And the Dressed in White side of my arm I can smell this one so much more. But with Cinderella, it was fading faster, and I noticed I had to do a lot more sprays. But in the cap, I definitely can smell it. So when I think of Cinderella, I kind of picture her doing laundry. She's always cleaning just because she's living with her stepmother and stepsisters, and she was kind of like the one doing the housework. So I think that's kind of why it's very fitting that this is kind of like a clean, soapy quality. I don't want to say it's like a straight up laundry fragrance because I have other fragrances in my collection that are straight up like dryer sheets, and it's not that at all, but it is kind of like a clean girl fragrance. And it's also very like light and airy, And another reason I think this is very fitting for Cinderella is because she's always outside talking to the animals, hanging laundry on the clothesline. So I think the scent was very fitting for her, and also the gardenia in it too. I picture her, working on the garden, and she's always outside smelling the fresh flowers. So I think they nailed it for Cinderella. So if you like gardenia, if you like a white sweet floral, I would definitely check out Cinderella. It's very pretty, but the downside to this is that it's very, very light. So now let's go ahead and compare some other fragrances in my collection to Cinderella. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that in the past I've said I really don't care for gardenia. I don't really like white florals, but ever since I got to sample this Gucci, what is it called? Ever since I got to sample this Gucci Flora Gorgeous Gardenia, this has really changed my mind about white florals just because this fragrance is so pretty. And I've noticed that ever since I started enjoying this Gucci one, other gardenia scents in my collection, I've kind of more learned to enjoy. And as soon as I sprayed this, I kind of got the vibe of Gucci Flora Gorgeous Gardenia. I don't think they're the same at all, but definitely kind of in the same family, and I think this would layer really pretty together. So I'm going to go ahead and compare the two. And they're definitely different. By no means is Cinderella a dupe to Gucci Flora Gorgeous Gardenia, but I would totally layer them together. I think they're similar enough that you could get away with doing that, but the Gucci one is just a tad sweeter. So by no means are they dupes, but they are in the same sort of a white floral family. In the Gucci Flora one, though, I am smelling other florals in here. I don't know if it's jasmine, and I'm almost getting like a brown sugar quality from it. So they are not dupes by any means, but totally, totally would wear them together. So the moment I smelled Cinderella in Bath and Body Works, I instantly got reminded of something that recently just launched from Victoria's Secret, and that is Victoria's Secret Sparkling Blooms, and this has fresh air and magnolia. So I think the reason that they both remind me of each other is that airy quality, and they both have gardenia. So let's go ahead and try this one. Okay, so now that I've smelled them side by side, I'm definitely able to smell the differences. But when I was in Bath and Body Works, I totally got reminded of Sparkling Blooms. But I think they're different enough that if you are a white floral lover, you could totally get both. They're not the same by any means. And I'm like really surprised that I think I prefer the Cinderella one more than this one. Just because I've already worn Sparkling Blooms so many times, I know that I love it. But now that I'm smelling the two side by side, at least on paper, I think the Cinderella one is a lot prettier. With Sparkling Blooms, they're both airy, but I'm definitely getting more of like a clean dryer sheet vibe with that one. And with Cinderella, like it's kind of the same vibe, but not completely dryer sheets. Cinderella is more um, airy, like clean girl vibe, soapy, and Sparkling Blooms, I'm getting way more of a laundry vibe, and I definitely can smell that magnolia. Okay, so we rolled that one out. They're not dupes, but they're in the same family. So if you know that you like Sparkling Blooms, definitely check out Cinderella. Okay, so this next one, let's talk about Dressed in White. I also got really reminded of Dressed in White right as soon as I got Cinderella, but again, side by side, they're not repackages. They're totally different, but they're similar in the sense that they're both like gardenia heavy. The fragrance notes for Dressed in White are pear blossom, ivory gardenia, and satin woods. So where they differ is that pear blossom. I think the pear blossom in this is very heavy. It's kind of like an airy, fruity floral. And also the satin woods kind of gives it a grassy vibe and sort of like vetiver. It's very clean and green. And Cinderella again doesn't have any fruitiness to it. It's more musky, so they're different, but if you like Dressed in White, they are kind of in the same family. Yeah, so right away when I'm putting my nose on the both of them side by side, dressed in white, you really smell that pear blossom. That is like the star of the show in this, and then second comes in that gardenia. So they're both similar in the sense that they have gardenia, but they're not repackages by any means. But I would say that they're close enough that if you like dressed in white, I think Cinderella is a safe blind buy. Okay, so this next one I pulled out of my collection. I haven't worn this in a long time, and I actually thought that I didn't like it. I was on the verge of giving it away, and I'm so glad that I didn't because after revisiting this fragrance, I really, really like it, and that is Fresh Gardenia. So let's look at the fragrance notes for Fresh Gardenia. This has dewy honeysuckle, white gardenia, and cashmere musk. So they're both similar in the sense that they're musky and gardenia. So let's compare the two. Okay, so now that I'm selling them side by side, so far these two are the most similar. They're not it's not a repackage. Cinderella's not a repackage of this, but out of everything that I've tried so far, these are hands down the most similar. Fresh gardenia, almost, I don't want to say it's like aquatic, but there's like a wateriness to it, and it's a tad fruity from that melon. But I actually think I prefer the Cinderella one over this one, but they are very, very similar. I would say that these are probably sisters, honestly. And I already have the Fresh Gardenia lotion, so what I'm going to do is use the Fresh Gardenia lotion and then just use the Disney Princess Cinderella on top of it because that's how similar they are. Totally think that I can make the Cinderella scent just a little bit stronger if I paired the Fresh Gardenia lotion with it. So again, they're both really pretty, but I prefer the Cinderella one. Okay, so the last fragrance that I pulled out from my collection is Hello Beautiful. This is a very floral heavy fragrance. I usually don't wear this one too much just because it's like super floral heavy and I'm not necessarily like a floral lover. I enjoy magnolia and gardenia, but I'm still kind of like learning to like rose and other florals. So let's go ahead and compare the two. And this has notes of white gardenia, jasmine petals, magnolia blossom, pink nectarine, and cotton musk. Actually, this sounds really pretty. Okay, so with Hello Beautiful, I actually think it is really pretty, but it's very jasmine heavy. So these are absolutely not repackages. With Hello Beautiful, I think that cotton is definitely giving it a strong laundry fragrance. It's also very floral, definitely getting more of that like cotton laundry note with this one. So Cinderella is definitely not a repackage or dupe to Hello Beautiful, but they both have that gardenia, but they're very, very different. I would actually say that Cinderella is a lot sweeter than Hello Beautiful. Hello Beautiful is just kind of like a fresh floral and very heavy on the jasmine. I think they're both really pretty, but again, I do prefer Cinderella over Hello Beautiful. It's funny because when you smell these in the store or by themselves, you're reminded of other fragrances, and in the end, they're actually so different. So, thankfully, Cinderella really isn't a repackage of anything. So, if you know you like sweet, musky, white florals, I think Cinderella is definitely a safe blind buy. All right, you guys, so that was my comparison and review on the new Disney Princess Cinderella body mist. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that this has some amber in it, and I really don't detect it a whole lot. If it's there, it's very light. What you're going to get with this is a sweet, white, beautiful floral. So I really like it. I think I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of it this springtime, but just keep in mind that you really need to enjoy white florals to like this scent. I think they did Cinderella justice. I think this would probably be very similar to what she would smell like in real life based on her lifestyle. So I think they did a really good job with this. Thanks for hanging out and watching, and hope to see you in the next video.